Hello. I just made it up from the greenhouse. It was a tough run, but I made it. Welcome, everyone. We are so excited to have our first virtual presentation and excited we have so many people joining us. But I do have to say our staff did a great job of that introduction down at the greenhouse. What a beautiful place. And it was a beautiful day when they took that a few days ago. Before I start, I want to thank Diane Tavishian for setting this up for us. Excuse me. As everyone knows, we were originally going to do it on campus, but we are into very different times. And so also I want to thank our staff for everybody that helped with all the social distancing and all the protocols we had to follow to be able to put this together for us to enjoy on our terrace. Also, I think a special thanks is ongoing to our greenhouse staff. They've been here individually 7 days a week to maintain the greenhouse, plant a variety of plants, and also water and maintain the greenhouse. So that was very well done by them. Everybody's very committed. So it's a little bit challenging for me not being with a live audience and getting some of that feedback, but we are into a wonderful time we're going to have here today. And so what we've been asked to do is to provide some interesting methods with regards to container gardening. I think we're all a little bit stressed out, and gardening is a very healthy activity for everyone. And being at home, at least for even a while longer, most of the folks, it's a great opportunity to get out and enjoy your day. If you can look behind me, it's a beautiful day out here at the Endicott House. And it's a great way to enjoy the outdoors. What we're going to try to do is provide some insights and some helpful tips that I use very much so with the vegetable gardening. We're going to do a little brief presentation on the hanging plant and also house plants. Or actually flowering plants, I'm sorry. And that will also give you some color and help you decorate your outdoors. When it comes to container gardening, it's function versus style, and I'll go over that. A lot of the containers, some of the containers I will show are reused containers because, again, function. We're also going to welcome questions at the end. We'll see how that works out. But what I was given today was my own brand new set of gloves for our demonstration today. I'm so lucky. Every job has its perks. So I wanted to start off with a hanging plant. Now you can buy hanging plants, and a lot of stores they're quite expensive. But again, if you want to be creative and have take the opportunity, you can create your own. One of the things I'm also going to plug throughout here is I think it's an opportunity to look at local nurseries and local centers to help some of the individual people that are a little bit struggling at this time. I have a local place that I purchased all of my stuff through. Actually, I do that every year, but it's an opportunity. I know the big box stores do sell a lot and do sell for a little bit less money, but I see that as an opportunity as we move forward. So the first item is hanging plants. I'm sure everybody at home has a number of these that they've had from previous years. Today, this year would be a great opportunity to get a little creative. The first thing I want to talk about is, as we get into this, the soil mix. We use a biofungicide mix, which has vermiculite in it. As you can see, the white, if we can get a little close up here, got to stay within 6 feet. There you go. So we have that. And what the vermiculite will do is retains the water, so it helps nurture the plants beyond each watering. So what I could do is look at purple is one of my favorite colors. They're very vibrant. And what you could do is you could go and get some nice pansies, and you would plant those in, 3 or 4 of those into the container. And then, as with like the food shows, ta-da! We have one already done. But as you can see, this is, after a couple of weeks, after planting like that, is really filled up. And if you nurture this throughout the season, I have a friend of mine out on the Cape and he waters and nurtures his, and he's had them come down about 3 or 4 feet because the pansies will continue to grow. You can also snip those back a little bit as you would need to. So that's, you know, just something for an activity. And again, good activity. You can also save your money. Also decorative. I do want to show over here. This is also pansies, and again, in a very nice container. We have 2 kind of bookends on the tables here today. But again, you could plant those. And again, on your front porch, if you look at some of the houses, they tell you when you're looking to sell a house, you know, the front entrance is always a key spot. You have some nice spots out there. But again, on your back deck or your patio, wherever it may be, just to give you some nice color and some nice warmth. So with that, I'm going to show you quickly a little secret. So what I do in planting at home is we kind of what we call a little cheating. So you have a large container, and those plants, smaller plants, are not going to need all of the earth, all of the soil. So you could put in the bottom some gravel or some material. I put these little plastic pots in there to fill up an air void. And again, also it helps with drainage, because if you water a little too much, it will take it down. And then you can also, with that, as I said before, it was very, very helpful having everyone help me set this up. So again, we've already done that with this pot. It has the material, the soil mix in, and you can get creative. And you look at what you want to do. This is a nice Vinca vine. You put that out in front. One of the interesting things with a Vinca vine is if this makes its way onto the ground, and you can see here, if you look up close, it'll reroot itself. It's a very, very hardy plant. And so also decorating the side, we'll get some nice, wonderful sun pations, which could go also in the full sun. I have a red one and a white one. And then a more decorative, light little flowering plant, little purple, put that in the center. And again, you're looking at texture, you're looking at look, color, and style. And then what we also do is we use like a nice ornamental grass. Many years on our plant sales on campus, we would sell king tuts in a variety of heights. But again, this will give you some height. Again, you would fill it in with the extra soil. And again, you would, you know, have a nice backdrop side of your sliding glass door or wherever you're coming out on your patio. So, gloves are a little tough here. Now I want to get into the plants and starting with seeds. And as you can see, what I have here is from my own back deck, which I have planted about 3 weeks ago, radishes. I have actually 4 of these. I have one with all lettuce, one with all radishes, and one with radishes and 2 with radishes and carrots. Actually, getting a full amount of sun. As you can see, I brought this in this morning, but as you can see, with all of the rain, the soil is a little wet. We've had a lot of rain, so when you're dealing with vegetables, you're going to be dealing with sun, climate, and rain. You know, rain is good up to a certain point. So I'll move that back. And the one thing I failed to do in showing, so we have some geraniums here, and look at what you can get to after a number of years. These are our personal, my wife and my personal geranium plants. We planted those 15 years ago and have stored them. We're very fortunate to be able to put those in the greenhouse each and every year, and you can see how hardy they are. So again, when you're into this, if you have a space with some good sunlight, southern to eastern exposure, as an example, in our dining room, we have large sliding glass door. We have a metal rack that we bring up every late fall, and we place on there a variety of plants to keep over the winter. The geraniums are very hardy as long as they're in the right climate. And again, as you can look at that, and you just, over the season, just keep snipping as the flowers die off, and it will just keep rejuvenating itself. And just a wonderful look as you have. We have these all out in our front drive as people come up. So when you're looking at planting, I know we want to get into vegetables, which is really my forte, is you want to look at if you want to start with your own seeds. So there's a variety of ways to do it and approach it. I want to show you two different versions. This is what they call the 6-pack. This is what you're going to find in your regular garden center. So they'll break those apart and sell you 6. We have a variety. You'll see a variety of our plants are in that. What I do out in my yard is I prefer the 4-inch pots. And so I would put a pot in here and 15 in the tray, fill it with the soil. I have my trusty soil right next to me here. So again, the same soil mix that we would use. And what you would do is you would fill it with your soil, all of those, okay? And you would plant your, the item that you would want to plant there. Say it was a lettuce, a variety of lettuce. That's about 1/4 of an inch deep. And again, you would put that on a tray. You can put it on a shelf. Lettuce is good to go outdoors now. It's I've planted all of my lettuces in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So that is something that's very hardy and enjoys the cool climate. And they're going to really do well with a good amount of moisture, rain, and a cooler climate, which is what we've had. The difference between those is if you look at, just to give you an example, right here. So this is a 6-pack of parsley, which I'm going to do in our box in a minute. So again, they're only growing to a certain height, and then you have to transplant them. All right? And whereas when you have the 4-inch pot, you could grow a larger plant. Now this one I could probably grow another week or so and then have to transplant it. So just a couple of examples on that. What I do is I use the Old Farmer's Almanac, and each January I go in and get a printout of all of what the schedule is for the season. In this climate, some of the plants you can plant as early as February, radishes and carrots, and some of the other root vegetables, late February, maybe early March. With the Farmer's Almanac, they always go by the moon. The full moon cycle is one of their features. So, and again, just to kind of show you where I'm at with my raised bed garden. So I have all of the radishes in. I have carrots in. I have lettuce. I have peas, which peas have gone in around the same time, a little bit after the radishes, maybe mid-March. And I also just planted my potatoes last week, which I'll give you a little demo on that. So when you talk about containers, again, style, when you're looking at your flowers and your hanging plants, you want to have something with style. But when you're looking at your vegetable plants, you're going to look at what containers you have. As you can see, the container that I have with the radishes in is an old flower box container that I've converted. So there's a variety of earth boxes. We have one, an example back here that we've actually, Mary Von Shoppy, our executive housekeeper and conference planner, went out and picked up for us, and she actually decided to buy one for herself. And so she's going to be going along with me as we plant some items in her earth box. So the question I have to raise with HR is that considered work at home time, or is it her own personal time? So this will be a little funny. But this is a new style. It's a square earth box. And again, the earth boxes all come with wheels. And the beauty of an earth box is you're going to have a fill tube in here. And I'll show that a little bit on the other earth boxes that we've had for quite a long time. And so what you would do, this earth box is technically a deck box. So as I have mine on the deck, these are ones that are pre-made that if you have a 2x4 railing or a 2x6 railing, they could sit right on top. And so you have some very good security. One of the most important things when you have your container gardening is drainage. You don't, because you have to balance your watering with what's happening in the environment. So if you don't have a good amount of drainage, you're going to have a problem because it's just going to keep filling up. And then you're going to have more of a slush pool as opposed to a box garden. So trust me here. I have all my supplies down below. So it is all about what you like, what you enjoy, what herbs are important to you, and what things you like to cook. I gave an example yesterday when we did a run through, and again, this goes back to your local gardening centers as opposed to the large operators. I love tarragon, and tarragon is very hard to find. You're not going to find it in many of the box stores. They're going to go with the merchandise that moves the quickest for them, the most sellable. So again, that's another point if you're really into some things, and I'm going to share another little tip. So again, you would fill it up with the soil. All right. And so what I have here, you're going to create your own little garden box. So I've got oregano. So I would plant my oregano up here. One beautiful thing about oregano is you could take this out. Some of these are real perennials, annuals rather. This can become a perennial. It depends on the style, but you could bring it inside. I've done that. Repotted it in a small, a single planter, and keep it with some good window in a good window place. And again, you can continue to grow oregano throughout the winter. And what else do we have? Which I think is everybody's favorite is basil. So we have 3 different kinds of basil. We actually have a cinnamon basil, which I didn't bring up. We're trying that this year. We're going to see how that goes. So this is lemon basil. Plant a nice lemon basil in there. That over. And this is a red basil. Very interesting. Actually, purple basil is what they call it. I've never tried that before, so that's going to be interesting. And then the basil, the traditional basil that everybody loves. And then we also have, for those who love rosemary. Rosemary is another one that you could replant and hopefully take through the winter. And then I have sage, just like the song, parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. And then we have an English lavender that we would put in here. And then we also have parsley. So these are in the 6-packs. I break a couple of those up and plant that in there. And now you've got a beautiful herb garden, right? It's wonderful. So with that, move that a little off to the side here. So we got our herbs, and again, you can use any type of earth box. Okay, this is one that we just got, and again, the earth box is going to come with its wheels. Also comes with a covering and the filling tube. The beauty of the earth box is you're going to have a deposit of water at the bottom or mixed with your fertilizing material product, and you can never overfill this. So again, it's good for drainage. So with that, I'm going to go into my next item is, and what do we have ready here? Got everything ready for me. I love that. So here we have an earth box. And so what are we going to do? We're going to go into lettuces, which is another favorite of a lot of people. And again, we have, again, you can mix and match after you plant. So here I have some romaine, and as you can see, the romaine has gotten a little leggy because it's grown very, very well. And then we have a red leaf. So I would take those and I would place those individually across the front, but a wonderful, nice red leaf. Lettuce is fabulous. And then we have also some oak leaf as an example. There is some green leaf. Mexican greens is a little bit more of a challenge because you have to lay those out, but that's a wonderful, if you have a larger box, it would be wonderful. And then any other varieties, but if you look at this wonderful romaine, is just ready to go. I think I might have a salad after. Yeah, delicious. As everyone that gardens know, the quality of the stuff that you grow at home versus what you get in the store is a tremendous difference. I think lettuce is clearly one of the ones, and you can do, a number of heads, or you can do, a whole, if you have a larger space, you can do, 50 plantings. The other beauty of the lettuce is when this becomes full grown, you trim that. Sometimes it will grow back for a second generation. But additionally, this will last in your refrigerator. If you wash it, drain it down, clean it nicely, it will last 4 to 5 weeks. I have a little plastic trays I lay out in our refrigerator, and we have lettuce throughout the season just about every night. So, and again, you can also start off with last week doing a row or a box. Second box, wait a week to 10 days. So your harvest time is going to be a little different. You can also, if you wanted to, here's some more beautiful red leaf. So you can also do herbs in the front or herbs in the back. One of the things I failed to mention before is, as you can see, I'm looking at terracing, and when I get into tomatoes in the next box, you'll really see that. So I've been cued by way over there that I need to tell you now that you could use chat for questions. I'm going to give the answers back if I know them, but you're going to use chat to get those in. So again, another way, and the beauty of wheels is if you have limited sun, you can move that throughout the day across your patio deck, whatever, to capture as much of the sun as you need. Again, lettuce a little on the cool side. So we have that item done. Okay. The next one, I got another earth box here. Let's plant that right there. Okay. So we have another earth box. Before I go on, there was one other plant that we grow, herb. A lot of people like, but I want to just single this one out. We have mint and spearmint. You do not want to plant that with other products in your garden. If it's even in a regular garden or in a box garden, it's a very invasive species, and it will take over everything. I had some in our garden and a number of years back, and it just started taking over and killing plants. And so what our suggestion is, you love it, you keep it on its own, and everything will be fine. So again, some other vegetables, again, the same, excuse me, earth box. So, as everyone knows, tomatoes are the most favorite there is, right? They're the best. No one commercially can ever come up with homegrown tomatoes. And there's many things that you could do in storing your tomatoes. You can make jarred sauce. You could freeze them. Again, quality better. When you talk about freezing, what I do, I grow about a dozen basil plants, regular basil, some other flavors in addition to that. What I do is at the end of the harvest, I chop it all up. I put it in my plastic container, basil, chives, parsley, oregano, and I put this in the freezer. One of the little things I say, it's better to keep something like this in your freezer than the frozen pizzas. Much more valuable for the long term. So you can imagine with the basil that we have, we're still having a nice Capri salad or buffalo mozzarella, buffalo mozzarella salad. I take it and very, spread it all over, use it quite not sparingly, and let it sit in there. It'll come down to temperature. A little olive oil, a balsamic vinegar, and it's wonderful. Just a great thing to have. So back, we see your questions. We will discuss those at the end. All right, I'm being cued from off in the distance there. A little challenging with the space we're apart from. So here we got. I think this is the super sweet 100s. This is your cherry tomato, and then we have a better boy, which Mary has all of these. So Mary, place those in again when you're looking at You want your taller items in the back, not to overshadow what is in front. And then we have a big boy, and the other one I have here is a pink Brandywine. Wonderful, wonderful. So I'm going to stop right here. With the tomatoes, as you can see, we have a variety of stakes. One of the things that I do in my garden is I would prefer to stake those. It's not the most best looking, tallest stake that you can in the beginning that you can secure in here. So you're not coming in when the plant is all settled and growing and then destroying some of the roots. It will stagnate its growth for a short period of time and it will come back. Also, if you have full sun and you have a nice area and you have a fence or some lattice work behind you, by all means use that, as opposed to you can pin those up. And as you can see, the ties that we have here, always got plenty of ties, and you tie it up. One of the things with tomatoes is as it grows, it's very important to keep it tied up so it continues to grow towards the sun. So in this box, I have 4 tomato plants. I'm going to augment it with, what do we have? I got a couple of eggplants, so we can put those on either end, growing. All right. And let's see what else we have here. Okay, I've got a red pepper and a green pepper. So placing those out in front. So I got 2 peppers. I got 2 eggplants. Eggplants are absolutely delicious from the garden. So again, probably about 8 is the quantity you want to have in an earth box this size. You could probably get about 10 to 12 in a large square one. One of our chefs, Eddie Serrato, is our executive chef. Eddie loves hot peppers, so we always have to grow here some hot peppers for him. So that could be an alternative. And again, I go back to all of what you like. So this is a wonderful earth box, and I'm going to move on to the last item. It's one of my favorite things. So when you talk about function versus style, this is a plastic container we had delivered here, some evergreen trees from one of the garden areas we were planting. Actually got 12 of them. So what do you do with these after it's all delivered? You throw them away. So I took them and I grow potatoes in them. And so what you have, and so I got a little box here, you fill it with your soil. Now with potatoes, you want a more sandy, you can add some sand rather, but you want to lose soil. And then you take your potato with your eye, nice red bliss potato, you plant it in and you cover it with just a little bit of soil. Okay, so you just want to get that plant covered. Okay, and you're good to go. And that will grow, from there. And you'll probably get maybe a dozen potatoes out of that. A little bit larger container, as this one's a little smaller. One of the things I've seen, haven't been able to try yet, was if you have a large cylinder or a large, tall drum, you could plant the potato towards the bottom. As it grows, you get about a 4-inch plant. You fill it over that plant again. It will reroot and generate additional potatoes, and so on and so forth. So that is our demonstration with that. But probably the potatoes, just to close up on that, my family, they fight over the potatoes that we grow. I have 50 potato plants that I have in our garden. So probably second to tomatoes. Potatoes, it's just so tasteful. And again, you get so much flavor that a potato, of this size, is just wonderful. You don't need a lot of potatoes, and you could grill them and do all kinds of fun things with them. With that, I will open up for some questions.
All right. So one of our first questions is suggestions on where to get good soil and quality vegetable seeds.
So I think this is an opportunity for folks. I have a local vendor, Agway, on Cape Cod. That's a franchise. I don't know how many others are in this area, but I would call or email, depending on how they're communicating, with my local garden store, and I would look at them. You want something that is a soil mix. This one here happens to be a potting mix, so it's good for potting plants, and it has a lot of good attributes for flowers. There's a whole variety of them out there that you can purchase, but you want to have something that has some vermiculite in it if you can. If not, you can buy vermiculite in a small bag and then mix it yourself. If you're going to use compost, you want to cut that compost down, depending upon where you have 10, 15 to 1, with some loam. And again, I would, if you're using loam that you have, I'd use a little bit more vermiculite and maybe mix a little bit of potting soil in there, because a loam can tighten up very quickly. Next question.
So when you're cutting from the herbs, where do you cut it to make sure the leaves grow back?
Some of them will. So again, with your basil, you're not. So what I usually do with the basil, and I've grown a basil plant in a pot just a little bit larger than that, probably about this size, and it's grown that tall. And so what I do is you work from the bottom up, because naturally that's the first growth that you have, working your way up. But again, do not, if you see the plant and it's getting close to the fall, it's starting to look like it got frost coming in, just by all means clip all that up, chop it up. Even if you put it in a baggie and in your freezer, you're going to have something you're really going to enjoy.
Somebody's looking for some suggestions on how to keep animals such as bunnies away from their vegetable plants.
Okay. I have to repeat the question. I thought they could hear it right there. So repeat the question. So how do you keep animals away? So that is a big challenge. So where I am, I have a fence around my garden. It's about 2 foot high. You can get some mesh that you can put around this. The problem is if you got lettuce and it's close, the rabbits will kind of encroach their way. Again, if you can elevate something high where the rabbits are not going to get to it, that's an opportunity. There are some products out there, some chemical based and some organic, that will deter animals. I had a mole problem, and so I had an organic product that I sprinkled around my garden, and it was good. I have a lot of rabbits. The 2 foot fence, and again, if you're in an area, they're going to go for the easiest pickings that they can. The one challenge I have with my garden is the deer. I'm just hoping for a good season, so they have a lot to enjoy besides the garden, because they can pick your garden apart quite a bit. So next question.
For your basil leaves, do they need to be washed and dried before you freeze them?
Washed, not dried. But you can, pat dry them if you want. You don't want too much moisture on there, but you don't want to dry them out. And you can, and I have done with some of the other, like parsley and stuff. I've taken bunches and I bundle it up with a rubber band, and then I put it in a paper bag and tie it, and I hang it in like our laundry room. And then over about a period of time, it'll dry out. And then it's a lot of work to do dried herbs. So I prefer the frozen. It's a little bit quicker, and the quality is better. You can go to a store, and some of these stores sell you, jars for $1 of various spices, but you got to shake half the can in order to get the flavors that you want.
For the earth boxes, how far apart should the plants be planted?
Depending upon the plant. So I have these at about 6 to 8 inches apart, and that would be the tomatoes and the peppers and eggplants. So those type of plants, probably 4 to 6. Tomato plants, I would definitely do 6 inches. Again, if you're on your deck and on your patio, they're gonna root themselves. So you're gonna have about this much. If I was to fill this up, so you're gonna have a good 8 to 10 inches of soil, and those roots are gonna drive themselves, into the lower area where the water is. And again, when you go to break this thing apart, if you had a real good year, you're going to have trouble getting those roots out in cleaning up. Some of the, lettuces, maybe 2 or 3 inches apart. Again, it's all about how you nurture them, water, your fertilizers that you use. A lot of people use organics Out of convenience and just access, I do use the Miracle Grow. A lot of what we have here is we have a commercial grade, so it's in a 5-gallon pail. Is the concentrate with water, and then it extracts that. So when we're watering throughout the greenhouse, we have 2 or 3 of these. So when we're watering, there always have some nutrition with the water each and every day. And as you can see, these are not even the tallest tomato plants that we have down there right now. The greenhouse, again, not having the greenhouse, your own indoors, will provide you an opportunity, again, with the right amount of sunlight. Next question.
In your opinion, what type of tomatoes make the best sauce?
Make the best sauce?
Yeah.
Well, that's
it's a tricky question.
Yeah, that is the Roma tomatoes. I do grow those in another year. So you want a more meaty tomato in a sauce, because if you have a wonderful big boy with a lot of seed in there and a lot of juice, it's not going to generate as much sauce. But again, at the end of the season, you have a couple of dozen tomatoes and you want to do something, make a sauce and see how it comes out. You can actually mix it with some of the canned stuff. Again, you're just creating stuff and having a lot of fun. I know a lot of people, we've been sharing some recipes of ours and such, and I know that, in this time, people are getting very, very creative with, cooking and stuff. So it's all about experiment. But also, when you do a pasta dish, as opposed to a tomato sauce, say you had a nice penne pasta and you had a variety of tomatoes, you could dice those up with some onions and some basil and some oregano, and you add that in, saute it up, and it becomes a very, very light sauce, a little grated cheese over the top. You got a wonderful meal. Making myself a little hungry.
Okay, this is an interesting question. How far away do you keep jalapenos to prevent spicing up other vegetables?
That's a very good question. I would not know, because I don't grow those. I'm not a hot pepper person, but that would be something you would ask at your garden center. So the person there. And again, when you're dealing with a local facility, you're dealing with people, that's their business. I don't want to pick on the box stores, but those people are assigned to various departments and move around. For these people, it's their livelihood. And I just recently did a pickup at our local place, and it was a drive-through. So you placed your order online, they called you back, confirmed. They didn't have an online credit card system. So you did that, and then you scheduled the time to drive in. We drove into the appointed location, opened up the hatch in our vehicle, and the person came out, confirmed who we were, put everything in the back, closed the door, and we drove away. So I know that, maybe at sometimes it might be a challenge in connecting, but they're all looking for to move their product as well, and can be very, very informative. And again, there's a number of books out there. And again, online, there's a lot of stuff out there on YouTube. So any other questions?
Yeah, last question is, somebody who has, they have a porch in the city with full sun all day. What would you recommend for herbs and vegetables to grow in full sun for the majority of the day?
So if you had a full sun when you talk, let me say 12 hours, that would be a fair amount of time. But I'd be very conscious, because that's a southern exposure. The nutrition, the watering, you may have to do that a little more than maybe once a day, depending upon how hot it is when you get into the summer months. But again, 12 hours would be a good cycle. If you had more than that, if you had a little bit of shade on the deck or the patio or the terrace, kind of move that in maybe in the earlier part of the day or the latter part of the day, kind of get some balance. And you'll see that when the plants are getting too much sun, they're going to start to weep and start to dry up. But generally, again, using a local facility, you're gonna start off with a hardy plant, very much like the stuff we have here, because this has been nurtured every day and is of a better quality. Any other questions? All right, so We've had over 50 people join us today. I thank you very much. In closing, this was I hope everyone enjoyed it and got some little tips in gardening. And we're looking to keep doing some things in the future and have some other activities. And we're very excited. And I do want to include, before we sign off, is again, thank all the staff. You can imagine one person couldn't put all this together on a very good day without proper distancing and so on and so forth. But again, I think you have an opportunity to enjoy yourself, that you're at home right now, and just enjoy and have some fun and get some beautiful sun. I can't wait. Hopefully I'll be able to take a walk around the grounds at some point in the future. And I welcome everyone opportunity to come back and join us again soon. Thank you very much.